So the CR-56 Amax is a DLC assault rifle from the Season 4 Battle Pass, and if you guys didn't unlock it during the last season, i.e. Season 4, then you can unlock it for free with a weapon challenge. Today I'm going to show you all how to complete this challenge to unlock the CR-56 Amax easily in Warzone, and I'll also show you how to get it in multiplayer as well at the end of the video. But this video is particularly focused on the free-to-play Warzone players unlocking this weapon, so I hope it helps. I'm going to quickly explain the challenge, give the best class setup and game modes for this challenge, and then some tips to help you get the challenge as fast as possible, and then sort of a strategy on how to do it. So make sure you're sticking around to the end of the video so you don't miss out on any important tips. There'll also be timestamps in the description probably if you want to skip to a specific part of the video. And very quickly before we get into it, I'm doing a COD Points Giveaway for the Season 5 Battle Pass. If you're interested in that, check out the rules in the description and that'll explain how to enter the giveaway. Oh, and I also recently made a video on the best class setup for the CR-56 Amax. So once you guys unlock this weapon, I'd strongly advise going to check out that video. I'll leave a card on screen for it so you can check out the best class setup for multiplayer and Warzone in Modern Warfare. Cheers guys, and let's get into the video. Alright, so the challenge says that you need to get 3 gunbutt kills while using an assault rifle in 10 different matches. So obviously a gunbutt, for anyone that doesn't know, is basically where you melee enemies with your weapon as opposed to using like the knife or your fists. And to do this, what you need to do is you need to press the melee button, which would be R3 on PlayStation 4 or RS on Xbox, and you need to do that while holding your assault rifle to bash an enemy. It will normally take around 2 to 3 hits, but we can make it a little bit quicker and I'll explain how to do that later on. Now as a quick note, this needs to be 10 different matches obviously, and while I'm not 100% sure on this, I would advise that you don't leave the match. In the past, some challenges, if you leave early, it will give you a penalty and it will take longer for it to earn because it won't track for a while. I can't guarantee that. If someone wants to guarantee in the comments that it doesn't matter, then obviously feel free to check that out. But as far as I know, there may be a penalty, so I would advise not leaving the match until you complete it, but it's up to you guys if you want to take that risk. And like I say, if anyone wants to verify that in the comments, then feel free to do so. Now let's say you get 3 gunbutt kills in a match, right? And you're not sure if they counted. What you need to do is you need to check the challenge progress bar when you're in a game. So what you need to do is you need to click the menu, and then when you're on the menu, you want to go on your loadout and click edit next to your assault rifle class. I'll explain what class to use in a minute, but click on that class, click on the assault rifle specifically, and then go to the bottom of the list and hover over the CR-56 Amax. Like I said, it's near the bottom of the list. That way you can see how much progress you've made with this challenge, and you obviously need to check it before the match to know what you're on. And then when you're in a game, once you think you've gotten those 3 kills, check the progress bar. It should go up by 1 point each time you get 3 kills. If it doesn't, sometimes it can be a bit glitchy. Either you haven't done it, in which case I'd recommend trying to get a few more kills to see if that counts. But generally with this challenge, I found it to be quite consistent. So if you haven't got the progress, it's probably because you haven't actually done it. Alternatively, if you're sure that you have done it, but it's not showing up, sometimes you might need to restart your game. I like close the whole application and restart it up again. Sometimes that happens, you know, the game gets a little bit glitchy with counting progress. So if you're not sure, restart the application. But anyway, without out the way, let's get into the actual class setup. So for the class setup, you need to put on an assault rifle as the primary weapon. It doesn't matter particularly what assault rifle you use, but I've put on the Kilo 141. I'd recommend that you put on an assault rifle that has the breacher device as a muzzle attachment. And the reason I say that is because the breacher device enables one-hit melee kills normally with people that don't have armor on. With people that do have armor, I think it goes up to about 2 hits. So basically, it's an attachment that increases the melee damage you do with your weapon when you gunbutt people. Obviously, like I say, not all assault rifles have this. Some of them do, like the Kilo. So I would suggest you look for a weapon that does have this, but it doesn't have to. That's just my suggestion. If you do go for a weapon like the Kilo, like I said, put on the breacher device as a muzzle attachment, and then also put on the Syngard Arms 19.8-inch Prowler barrel, which increases the damage range, the bullet velocity, and the recoil control. And then for an optic, I'd put on a 4.0 flip hybrid. This obviously has an increased zoom level, but you can toggle between the higher zoom and the lower zoom as well, so it's useful in Warzone for the different range engagements. And then for the rear grip, I'd put on a stipple grip tape. This allows you to increase your ADS speed and sprint to fire speed. It allows you to be a bit more mobile and versatile when you're coming up against enemies. It just helps you to get into that gunfight a little bit faster, so it gives you a slightly better chance of winning it. And then finally, I'd put on the Ranger foregrip, which increases the recoil control and also aiming stability, so it really helps to make your shots accurate basically. And the reason why this setup is so important is because you want to be killing the enemies as fast as possible with your weapon by shooting them. I'll explain in a minute why that's important and how that comes into the actual strategy, so stick around for that. But alongside the primary weapon, you can put on a secondary, whatever you want really. I went for a riot shield just to protect my back, but you can put on whatever you want. And then for the perks, I've put on double time in perk 1. This just allows you to to double your duration of tactical sprint, and additionally you can increase your movement speed by 30%, so you're just a bit faster in getting towards the enemies, and I'll explain in a second why that's important. In the second perk category I've put on overkill, and this obviously, like I said, allows you to have that riot shield for your back to keep you protected from behind. And then for the third perk I've put on tracker. This just allows you to see enemy footsteps, so if there's anyone in your vicinity you can see where they're going, and it helps you track them down a little bit easier to get the kill. What about equipment then? So for the lethal you can put something like a C4. This just helps take out enemies if you need to, but I'd recommend not using this as you need to focus on the gunbutt kills, so don't bother too much about the lethals. And then for the tactical you can put something like a stun grenade on. This just allows you to obviously throw them at enemies and stun them. This slows their movement, it's more difficult for them to react to you, and it's easier to gun them down and run up to them and gunbutt them, which again is important to get these kills for the challenge done. Now following on from this, for the field upgrades I'd put on dead silence so that you have quiet footsteps and you can also run up to the enemies faster, but alternatively you can put on stopping power so your weapon does more damage. It's up to you. And then if you're playing Warzone, the mode you're going to be wanting to play is plunder. This just gives you infinite lives, and it gives you your immediate custom loadout without having to spend ages getting cash, finding a weapon or whatever. I mean, you could just jump into any battle royale mode and get an assault rifle, but I'll explain in a minute why plunder is probably the best way. But it's definitely good because you get infinite respawns and you get your class set up, so you don't have to waste time finding cash, trying to get an assault rifle or trying to buy your custom loadout. So what about the strategy then for this challenge? Well, I'd recommend that you try and go to areas of the map with a higher flow of enemies, for example stadium at the moment, or any cash deposit points on the map, or anywhere else that's going to have a higher flow. If you see lots of enemies dropping to a certain place, you can go there, and once you come across an enemy you can either bash them with your gun several times to kill them, or you can shoot them a bit until you down them and they're in last stand on the floor, and then you can go up to them and gunbutt them with your weapon. So obviously you melee them with your gun. That works as well, so it does count if an enemy is downed by shooting them and then you melee them to finish them off with your assault rifle. That does count. So feel free to do that if you want. It's probably a bit easier than running up to them and bashing them straight away, because you have to bash them a few times and they might shoot you at that point. So this would be my recommended strategy. And a very cheeky way to get the challenge done easily, if you really guys need it, is you can go to plunder, stay in the plane until the very end when it kicks you out at the final part of the plane's pathway at the edge of the map. It will kick all the players that are left on it out of the plane. You'll normally get a few inactive players there. Now bear in mind, you also, because a lot of people have caught onto this strategy, you'll probably also come across a few people which are trying to be sneaky as well, and they're just pretending to be inactive. But yeah, you normally get a few inactive players, so that's very good. You can either gun bash them, like I say, if they're close enough, or you can shoot them till they go down into last stand and then gun butt them to kill them to get the challenge done. Now for me, normally I try this at the start of a game and it normally gets me at least 1 to 2 of the 3 kills you need. So if you get 2, obviously you need only 1 more across the whole match. It really does make this a lot easier, but you're not going to be favoured well by other people. But feel free to give it a try if you guys want to. And a final few tips is just remember not to shoot the enemy completely to death, and try to stop your teammates from shooting them as well if you're near any teammates, and try and stop any other enemies getting to and killing the down players before you do. If you shoot someone into last stand, try and protect them until you get up to them and can gun bash them. Don't let enemies or friendlies or anyone try and kill them before you do, basically. So to get up to them faster, use your dead silence to activate that and sprint up to them, or you can also use your double time perk, which obviously allows you to run faster over to the enemy and kill them quicker. And another thing to be aware of is that some players, when they're downed into that last stand mode, they'll try and instantly kill themselves so that they can respawn quicker. So be as quick as you can getting over to the enemy. Don't mess about with reloading or picking up anything or putting more armor on or whatever. Just gun butt them as soon as possible with your weapon, as I'll show you how to do in game, because sometimes, like I say, players will just try and kill themselves as quickly as possible, and you don't want that, because then that steals that gun butt kill from you that you were so close to getting. And I just also want to say that every now and then Call of Duty does a free-to-play weekend on multiplayer. So if you guys haven't gotten this weapon yet and you don't want to do it in Warzone, just check if there's an upcoming free-to-play weekend. There is a weekend every once in a while, so like I say, be aware of that. Keep an eye out for that. Check on Twitter or wherever if there's an upcoming one, because you might be lucky. And if there is, you can just jump into multiplayer, and that'll be the best way to go for sure. It's really easy in multiplayer. So that is how you do it in Warzone. If you're free to play, like I say, either do it in Plunder or wait until there's a free to play weekend if there's one coming up. And if you've unlocked the weapon, feel free to check out my best class setup video to help you get a better loadout for the gun, so it helps you get more kills and you can do better with that class. Now what about if you're multiplayer then? How do you unlock it? Well, it's much easier to do it in multiplayer than Warzone, because it's really easy to get the challenge done. Obviously when you shoot players in multiplayer, you don't down them into last stand, you would just shoot them and kill them straight away, so don't shoot the enemies. The maps and mode I recommend would be Shipment or Shoot House if they've got it, or Free For All, or another close quarter combat maps. For example, some of the weekly playlists they have close quarter combat modes, so check those out if any of them are good. And I'd recommend it being core modes rather than hardcore, because that way you have more health and you're less likely to be killed if you're running up to enemies. So what you need to do is use the same class pretty much, you know, use the dead silence, use the double time perk, sprint up to enemies, bash them with your weapon. It should be a one-hit kill because it's multiplayer and they're not wearing any armor, so it literally should be a one-hit kill, even in core, and I hope you get the challenge done really fast. But thanks for watching. If you found it useful, be sure to leave a like on the video, it really helps me out, and feel free to subscribe so you don't miss out on any upcoming Modern Warfare videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all hopefully on the next one.